Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another instalment of the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge. We have an action-packed show for you lovely lot this evening. A recap of the Hollywood 5-5 draw at Wrexham, a 2-2 draw last night to the Premier League runner-up, the return of Scott Lindsay's Crawley this coming Saturday. The panel offer their opinions on the club's share gate, and a raffle opportunity that almost sounds too good to be true. But most importantly, the return of Sir Tom himself, who I do believe is running a little bit late. But before we get into any of that, I have a wonderful panel joining me tonight. Firstly, Joe. How are you, Joe?
Very well, thank you, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Just waiting for Tom. I can see he's just popped up in the chat.
Here he is. The boy's here.
Fashionably late. Malcolm, how are you?
Hi, good evening, guys. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Chris?
All very good. All good here.
Lovely stuff. Max, how are you?
Yeah, nice. Good to see you, Ellis. Nice to see everybody.
Max. Yeah, good to have you back on. And last but not least, we have Daz. How's it going, Daz?
Very well, mate. Very well, thank you.
Good to hear. So while we're waiting for Tom to get onto the show, Joe, do you want to lead with the raffle?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So, I mean, as you said at the start of the show, the STFC charity raffle is currently ongoing. As you kind of alluded to there as well, it's kind of a too good to be true sort of situation. So,
yeah,
I mean, obviously, Swindon Town, the Storm Broadbent Lounge, and Virologic have come together to provide STFC fans with a chance of a fantastic opportunity to watch Saturday's League 2 fixture against Crawley from the comfy seats through our STFC charity raffle. So, club partner Virologic have very kindly donated an exclusive hospitality package for a party of 10 for this weekend's game and the return of Lindsay, Darcy, Conroy, et al. The package includes a 3-course meal for all 10 members of the party, a paid bar, padded seats in the Arkle stand for the best view of the game, front row seats and meet and greet opportunities as well for the post-match man of the match presentation. All you've got to do is enter the raffle and to be in with a chance to win this prize, which is, as well, it's over 400 times the price of a single ticket. So it's well worth going. So all you've got to do, head over to our raffle.com page. You'll find a link on our social media pages, the STFC website too. Get your raffle ticket. They're £3 each. There's no limit as well to the amount of tickets you can purchase. So if you want to buy 500 and make sure that you're pretty much odds on are going to win, then do it, please. Every penny from the raffle as well is being donated to a charity that a lot of Swindon Town fans hold quite closely to their hearts as well. So obviously, ex-Swindon Town player Stephen Darby, it's well documented his struggles over the recent years. So every penny will be going to Darbs' charity, the Derby Rimmer MND Foundation. So yeah, great opportunity to land a brilliant prize. It's also a nice, chance to raise a good amount of money for a really deserving charity. So yeah, just head over to the STFC website, get on the raffle.com link, buy your ticket, and hopefully we'll see you in hospitality on Saturday.
Yeah, look, it's £3. It's almost it's pennies, and if you can pick up a ticket, I would certainly recommend you do so. It's for a good cause as well. And look, if you win 10 free tickets, hospitality tickets, so get on that, people, before time runs out. Tom, have we got you?
You've got me, mate.
Lovely. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Good.
So, how's things going at South Shields start of the season? How's it going over there?
Yeah, it's not too bad, mate. We've not made a bad start. We've won 2, drawn 1, lost 1. So, in a better league, obviously having been promoted, it's not too bad of a start, mate. So we'll take that.
Yeah.
See if we can build on it for the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, to cut a long story short, what on earth were you thinking shooting from that distance?
If I'm honest, mate, so I was getting a lot of time and space in the first half stepping in. It was almost like they were like, let him have it. We'll just sit in our shape. Because we were actually finding it quite difficult, to play. They were just sort of sat in. So it was getting a bit frustrating. And obviously at half time, we knew that, that we'd have the wind behind us. Not that it was a lot of wind. There was some technique in it as well, But I just said to the gaffer, I said, look, I'm stepping in. There's not a lot of options. Some of our lads need, I was sort of moaning at the team, so we need to put, get into little pockets and stuff so that I can play you. Because when we were doing it, we were getting a bit of joy. But that was an incident where there wasn't a lot of options on for me. So I said to the manager at half time, if it happens again in the second half, and we're just going to keep going, I'll either keep going with the ball until I get pressed and see what happens, or I'm just gonna shoot. So, once I've stepped, you can see on the video that they're just backing off. I've got tons of space and time just to keep carrying the ball forward. And I've had a little look up. I've noticed the keeper's off his line, but I thought if I'm going to go for this, I need to hit it quite flat so it's got enough time to sort of because he's going to have enough time to get back and just catch it, make it stupid. But I think the whole thing is just set up perfectly for me, and I've caught it so sweet. I must have hit the valve or something, and it flew in, and I was thinking, "Fucking hell!"
I was going to say, you basically knuckleballed it to the halfway line.
Yeah. I think I could try that 1,000 times again, and it wouldn't come off, mate. But I was just thinking, I was kind of shocked myself. I was like, "Fucking hell, it's just flown in. What's going on?"
It was sort of like you said, you literally can't recreate that. It's sort of a one-time thing.
No, that's
it. How was what was the reaction like in the ground, sort of after the game with all your teammates and fans, etc.?
Yeah, they were just like, "What?" Pretty much the same as you. They're like, "What are you thinking shooting from there?" And I was just like, "Well, you don't shoot, you don't score." Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the lads was like, I think that's like the best goal I've actually ever seen live.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm honest, mate, before watching it back, I didn't realise I was that far out. I thought I was sort of in between the halfway line and like their goal. I didn't realise I was still in the centre circle at the time.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, you think, "What the fuck's he doing shooting from there?" Like, if I'd have done that and it wouldn't have come off, everyone would be like, "What are you doing?"
If that goes over, Broady, you're getting subbed.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
high
that's
risk, high reward.
Tell you what, Ellis, you're saying there about, from a fan's point of view, what must have, South Shields fans be thinking at that time. Up the Mariners has just joined the show as well. And I'm assuming, I'm not too sure for certain, but I'm assuming he was in the ground on Saturday. So, I mean, Up the Mariners, get him on. What were you thinking when Broady, his left boot, swung back and slapped that football?
All right, evening, gents. I wasn't actually in the ground at the weekend. Can you hear me? Is this working?
Yep, got you, mate.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I wasn't there. I was at work, unfortunately. But when I saw the footage, just when Tom was saying that you saw everybody just backing off, did you also see on the footage that the referee was backing off as well? He was kind of like, it's as if he was saying, like, "Go on, lad, have a shot."
Yeah.
I was spoken with that. But yeah, man, the response you've had of that. I mean, we had a wonder goal, if you like, that won the Budweiser competition a few years ago, where Gary Pallister presented the club with the prize. I think this goal is going to be a bit more popular, a little bit more popular than that one. Excuse me.
Yeah. No, it's gone viral, and my Twitter and Instagram's gone mad. My missus going mental at me in the evenings, like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, just reading a few comments.
Just reading 2 million comments on Lad Bible. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, mate, honestly, I can't actually get through them all.
There's something about you, Tom, that you just can't stop scoring goals like this, and I think maybe you've got to question the position you're playing and look at going up front, because you can't keep scoring goals like this.
No, the thing is, I'll go up front and I won't hit barn door, mate.
It's worth a try. I mean, after seeing you strike a ball like that, I don't think you've got many issues.
Ellis,
there.
are we saying that John Sheridan got something right?
Are we
saying that John Sheridan got something right?
I think you got it completely spot on, mate.
That's the one thing he's ever got right at Swindon Town, mate.
No, well, that's like another one of them things. Like that game, the Oxford game. If he puts me up top and I don't score or don't change the game, everyone's thinking like, what the fuck's he doing? Do you know what I mean? And similar with it, the goal on Saturday. If I shoot and I shank it out for a throw-in or something, people are thinking, what's he doing? It's only when it comes off that people think, that's amazing. Like, what a great idea.
I suppose linking the Oxford game and obviously the game of the weekend, there's a question that has to be asked. So, are you picking that goal or are you picking an Oxford brace? You've got to pick one. You lose the other one. I mean, you've got to show out of the earlier ones, so maybe pick wisely.
Wow.
Choose carefully, Tom.
It's early days after this goal, isn't it? They might make a show again of me yet. I don't know.
we'll make a post 9 PM one. Broady's bangers.
Yeah, just play my 2 goals and that's it.
3 goals. Come on.
It'll be a short show, mate.
Repeat would be good.
So it's the importance and everything with the Oxford goal. It was unreal, but to score a goal where it's like 45 yards out or whatever it was, and it flies in. Like, I think they're 2 completely different goals. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard to compare them.
I mean, not many players can say they've scored from practically halfway line. So,
Ellis, do we reckon we send an email to FIFA about Puskas? Like, is that a conversation that's got to be had?
The funny thing is, there was a couple more goals like that on the weekend, weren't there, in non-league?
I didn't see it.
Halfway line goals and that, but some of them were. Well, one of them was like straight from kickoff, and he lobbed the keeper. I just don't think it looked as good. Anyway, I'm being biased because it's my goal.
Mate, your ball didn't hit the ground before it hit like that's just it's perfect. The way you've hit the ball is like it's so flat, as you say as well. It just makes for a great watch back. I mean, I don't know if you've seen.
Yeah,
I've made it into a hoodie today. I'll have to send it across to you. I sent it to your dad last night. The hoodie looks class, mate. It looks brilliant. Yeah.
Nice. I look
Tom,
forward to seeing that.
You sort of touched on it there. You've got a new gaffer there at South Shields. How's life sort of under adjusting to the new gaffer?
It's all right, mate. It's been, like I said, it's been a little bit full on, to be honest. Like I said, we've gone up a league. We've been working on a lot of things in the way that he wants to play and trying to drum it into the players. So it's been quite full on with training. But it's like I say, we've had a good start. It's enjoyable. It's a good group of players. Yeah. Obviously, it's still early days within the season, so far it's going okay, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you coping with it in terms of like physically and just how are you finding the step up from last season up to this league?
Like I say, it's like nothing I'm not used to. Like I've played a lot higher anyway, so I understood that it was going to be a step up from last year. But some of the teams obviously a lot better than the teams that we played last season, and some are sort of similar. Do you know what I mean? You've got some players that are sort of similar. So I don't find it a massive step up. Obviously, I still feel very comfortable playing in that level. But it's just the main thing you come up against is teams that are a bit more organised and some better individual players. Whereas last season, we just had better players than everyone else, and even if we weren't organised, we'd be all right. Do you know what I mean? Because we had better players, and we just count on us being better than them. Whereas this season, we can be better players than them, but if they're a bit more organised than us, then we'll become unstuck. Do you know what I mean?
Are you finding it better with the pitches in this division, Broady? Because I feel like the jump from sort of Southern Prem, Northern Prem to, again, like National League South, National League North, the class of pitches is just like night and day.
Yeah, so obviously we've only played 2 games away so far. We had Boston away, and that was a nice ground, nice pitch. It was a nightmare though. Like we spent like 5 hours on the coach and that, and then got off and felt stiff as anything getting off and playing. We were 3-0 down at half time, so we give ourselves a mountain to climb in the second half. Ended up losing 3-1. But then we had Farsley Celtic away, and that's probably worse than some of the grounds that we played at last season.
Oh really?
So, I mean, it's probably a good time to play them because apparently the pitch is awful sort of around Christmas time and that. So it's probably a good time that we played them now. But we drew 1-1 with them. They scored a penalty in like the 93rd minute, which was frustrating. But then obviously our pitch is decent. So, but I think there's going to be a few more grounds sort of like, you know, where the pitch is good, where we can play some nice football. So, you know, whereas last season we were going to away games and struggling a little bit to play because the pitch was no good.
Do you think, so the new gaffer, obviously Kevin Phillips with his really soft hands last year, is the new gaffer all about getting the ball on the floor and playing with his feet, or is he, you know?
Yeah. Well, like Kev was the same. Like we wanted to play out from the back and things like that. So it hasn't changed massively, but it's more. I think that we need to work on more on like being organised without the ball as well. So that's kind of what we're working on a little bit now. You know, it's evident that there are going to be periods of games where we might not have the ball. So whereas last season it didn't really matter. It was more concentrate on what we do and not worry about the other team. But now we're doing a little bit more work on like how the other teams play and maybe set up to counteract how they play instead.
Yeah, like I say,
I haven't touched Julio's hands. I don't know if his are soft or
mate,
not.
you've got to report back. As I say, mate on holiday met Kevin Phillips. He said he's got the softest hands of a man he's ever touched. So
yeah.
Right, Tom. I know you can't stay on for too long, and we certainly don't want to keep you any more than needed. But look, I think we're finished with a one-word answer. Final answer for what goal are you picking? Oxford or Scarborough? One word.
One word.
One word.
Both.
Oh, you bastard!
Say that.
You.
One word, mate.
Oh.
Well, we can't say no.
We've left that open. That's my fault. Damn.
Yeah.
But sorry.
Yeah. Broady, thanks for coming on the show. You're always welcome.
That's a pleasure.
It's named after you, but yeah, it was great to speak to you. Good luck for the upcoming games, and hopefully we can speak again soon.
Yeah, mate. Nice one. Thanks for having me. We'll catch up soon.
Yeah. Cheers, Broady.
All the best, lads. Cheers. Take care.
Cheers, Broady.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Wow. What a wonderful
I can't believe he's done us with the both.
Yeah, I know.
It's like so he can do what he wants, though.
Oh, it literally is. I can't even be angry.
Give it a year, and I'm sure he'll rediscover the Oxford goal, and he'll pick up.
I've got my idea for next month's hoodie now. I think it's a merge of both goals on the front and just the word both.
Yes.
But let's be clear, he scored both goals against Oxford as well.
Yeah, true. That's what he meant, actually. Both goals against Oxford, wasn't
it? Yeah. Well, we're finding loopholes there. Too many loopholes. But yeah, look, it's always great to have Broady on. I mean, the show's named after him, for God's sake. So, yeah. Right, we spoke about the raffle. I think we should move on to Wrexham. Myself, Malcolm, Max, Daz, were you there?
No, I wasn't. I was watching the game though, courtesy of a good friend of mine.
Sorry, Daz. And we had Gabs there as well. Gabs is running a little bit late. He will be on. But Max, you're leading on Wrexham. Talk us through it. What's your thoughts? What's your feelings on the Wrexham game?
Yeah, so I mean, we sort of went into it. We knew that they had a lot of goals in them, and the game did start that way. They came out fast. We came out pretty quick ourselves. Remember Mahoney making one or two saves quite early on. Their striker got a good chance, and Mahoney was playing well at the start. Hutton was tearing their left hand side apart. That's kind of what contributed to especially our first two goals. First one came from a Hutton cross to the back post. Austin nods it over for Young. Nice one at the back post. And then he linked up well with Kemp as well for Kemp to put it in for Charlie's goal. Both goals were a bit against the run of play, really, because Wrexham were just having shot after shot after shot. I mean, I think we scored off our first 4 shots. And I was looking at the stats for the game, and it didn't make sense to me. We only had 8 shots all game and scored 5 of them.
Yeah.
It probably explains Foster's retirement not long after the game.
Another one.
Yeah, we just looked. Yeah, exactly. Like I think it was a case of we were really clinical and made the most of the few chances we did get to go through, because I felt like there were parts of the first half where we had pretty decent control in the midfield. I thought McEachran was a big part of that. I thought he won a lot of good balls in midfield and kind of made Kemp's job easy. He helped Kemp have a lot of space to sort of drive forward with the ball. But I mean, the second half is when it sort of fell apart in the midfield, I think, because I mean they go on in the second half to have something like 15 shots, and we seem to be losing the battle a little bit as it went on. But I mean, at 4-1, even 4-2, when we made it 5-3 later in the game, you just didn't see the end of it coming.
Yeah, it was one of those things. Like we go in at 90 minutes, 5-3, and the moment they score that 4th goal, you know that 5th one's coming. It was weird. It was like you've got to give it to them. Their fans were incredible. It's one of the best atmospheres in terms of a game that I've sort of been a part of in quite a while. And it was just like their fans were almost just sucking the goals into the net. It was like that when they scored their third goal, when they the penalty, the second goal, I think. It was like they were 3-0 up. The way that they were cheering on the team, and you can tell they've got a massive part in the team's success. Certainly at home. You know, when the smaller teams are going to go there this season, I think you're going to see a lot of teams crumble under the pressure, because those fans behind the net are something different.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, both sides, like there was noise in the ground from minute 1 to minute 90 from both ends, like, and you could tell that Parkinson had put a rocket up their arse at half time, because that first 15 minutes of the second half was just crazy. I was just looking at us like they're all over us. They're winning every second ball. Like, they're all sprinting to everything. And I mean, goals are always going to come from this game. I think before the game they'd scored 8, conceded 8. So I mean, really should have seen this sort of game coming. It brings up. I said after the game that it was similar size last season. It sort of is, in that, you know, it's a lead thrown away late. It's 2 set piece goals, which everyone knows that the free kick should never ever have been a free kick. I still can't understand what the ref. I mean, it bounces up off of Brewer's shoulder, right, or something, and it just looked like he just wanted to give something. I mean, I wouldn't say the ref was too much of a factor in the game. I think the pen was a bit harsh.
Yeah, definitely. You watch it back, both free kick and penalty. I think the penalty, it's arguable that Blake Tracy was fouled first, and certainly the handball out for the free kick was, looking at different angles, it was a bit questionable. But
mate, don't worry about it, Ellis. We've had a little letter of apology, haven't we? So it's all right.
Yeah, we've had
exactly. It's all good. It's all good. I mean, they said sorry. Let's move on.
To be fair, I think we'll move on to, you know, defending or whatever of the game. But in terms of the decisions that have gone against us, I think we were lucky on Tuesday night not to get a red against Kinsella. So it's like, it kind of is. I've seen a lot of swings and roundabouts comments. As frustrating as it is at the time, in League 2, you're going to get the rub of the green sometimes. And Saturday, we just didn't. I think, it's just one of those.
I mean, it's one of those that goal goes in 96th, but I mean, all throughout the second half, they were all over us. They were getting chance after chance. We seemed to, and for a while we were dealing quite well with Tozer's long throws, but that's what I think the 4th goal came from a long throw where a ball's kind of bounced and not everyone's really reset.
Yeah, the thing for me is a team like Wrexham, they've got goals. You highlighted it, Max. They've got goals in them. So especially when you're 4-1 up at half time, you can't afford to switch off for 2 minutes, because they're constantly putting crosses in. They're constantly having shots on target. So inevitably a goal is gonna eventually go into the net. So there was sort of 10-20 minutes in the second half where we were keeping hold of the ball, keeping possession, passing the ball around, and sort of not letting Wrexham get a touch, and that worked really, really well. And I think if we kept playing like that throughout the half, we wouldn't have had an issue. But it's towards the end where it got a little bit scrappy, and we were playing these long balls and just massive clearances and giving it straight back to them. So it was like a constant sort of battering ram from Wrexham, putting in constant balls into the box, and it was like we done well holding out not to concede, but the goal was coming. And especially after that fourth goal, I think the save from Mahoney for the fifth goal, the original save, was good, but it was just unlucky that he couldn't get a hold of it, and they scored on the rebound.
And my point on that last goal, Ben Ward is lying on the floor the entire time behind that free kick wall. I wish we would stop doing that.
Yeah.
Have you ever competed a goal
really...
from a free kick where they put it under the wall? I can't think of one.
How long have we been doing this for? How many times has it actually hit that player under the wall?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. And then the issue is, I can't. You say, did he save it or did it hit the post? But whatever happened, everyone, our entire team just freezes.
Yeah.
And Wrexham were proactive enough to have. I mean, they put their two runners in, and no one was there. And I can understand that, you want to stick with the wall, and it's a split-second thing, but it just shows they just need to work on defence set pieces.
It's
still
the reaction that does it for me. Like, literally, how many of their players have bombed into the box as soon as he's taken the free kick? And I don't even know who the nearest player was when Lee smashed that in. Probably the graphics through this stuff.
It's Ward. Ward on the floor.
It's ridiculous.
I really want it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, especially when you're 4-1 up at half time. If you would have told me at half time that we were coming out 5-5, to be honest, saying that, I probably would have believed you, but it just shouldn't happen.
Do you know what the worst thing is, Ellis, as well? I think I've had this conversation with you before. Like, if you lose 1-0 in the last minute, you think, and it's a dodgy referee decision, you start to think to yourself, football's rigged. It's rigged. It's all scripted. I tell you what, if football was scripted, this would have been the fucking pure example of it. Because this is going to go on Amazon Prime or Netflix or whatever next year, and everyone's going to be
Disney+.
We're definitely going to be on Disney.
Everyone's going to be drooling about Wrexham having the most, the lion hearts and the bloody dragons bollocks or whatever.
I mean, I'll put it out to everyone. What do you think we're missing that's stopping us from seeing our games?
I think a lot of it's experience on the back line. I think you've got Blake Tracy there, who's played League One. He's fairly experienced, but you look at the rest of that back line. Hutton hasn't got the greatest experience, and is certainly a better sort of attacking player, in my opinion. You've got Ben Ward, who was on the pitch towards the end, who hasn't played. He's played his first sort of professional games for us, and then Brewitt as well hasn't played League Two. So I think for me, if you get an experienced big sort of battering ram centre back, I think that definitely helps.
I just think we're lacking someone massive, really. Like, if you look at the size of Wrexham's team Saturday, all of them were absolutely big bastards.
Ollie Palmer. Ollie Palmer towering over anyone.
The thing is, in League Two, right, every team has that one lump at the back. that just basically can't really kick a ball, but can just head a ball and kick the ball yards. And to be honest, our players, don't get me wrong, I like the fact we have centre-backs that are willing to drive forward with the ball and start the attacks. But I feel like in terms of game management, sometimes you need that player that you could bring on at the end that will just head it clear occasionally. Granted, I think probably Ward was put onto that situation, wasn't he, really Saturday, because he's got the height, but just one of them things.
I always look back to even Garner, who wants to play football, had Jake O'Brien, who, how many times do we see him come on for the last 15, 20 minutes or something just to see it out? A big physical presence at the back.
Whose thing is like as well, I genuinely, if we're 4-1 up or 5-3 up in injury time, I don't think there's anywhere else in the league, maybe other than Bradford City, that we crumble like that. I mean, from what I was at the game, from what I've seen, the Wrexham fans looked absolutely on point.
Colchester.
Well, Colchester, yeah. Sorry. Cheers, Gabs. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a saying in football there that fans can sort of breathe the ball into the pitch, into the goal, sorry. And it looked as if that was kind of happening. I think if you're away at like Crewe or you're away at Harrogate and they've got about 45 people in their dog behind the goal, I don't think it happens.
Wow, you say that. Crewe have literally come from behind 2-0 to draw 2-2 in about 3 games now.
Yeah,
I'm going to stop talking.
Have you seen what the XG was from the Wrexham game?
Yes.
Yeah, Gabs, I think, Gabs, you've got a load of data on the game.
I do. Bear with me a moment, which you can hear in the background of the pub quiz, so I'm multitasking at the moment.
It's
going well.
The absolute joys of live broadcasting for the pub.
Right, some stats. Here we go. Right, so obviously 5-5. Most attacking sequence involvements. Bear in mind, Young was pretty much involved in every goal in the game. Young was 5th on the list and the highest Swindon player. Top 4 consisted of Ollie Palmer, Elliot Lee, Will Boyle, and Ben Tozer, mainly because of his long throws.
Lovely.
So Young's attacking sequence involvements was 6 in total, and 5 of them led to goals.
Wow. I mean, clinical.
Yeah, you can say that again. And basically, there's this year Opta introduced like mountains, which basically just actually describe who's on top of a game at a certain time. In the second half, essentially, Wrexham were dominating for 1, 2, 3, 4 periods lasting over around 10 minutes. And the only period we really were on top in the second half was just after we'd scored our 5th.
Christ! Wow, it's it's so frustrating. It really is. Like 3 points at Wrexham would have been massive for us. It's like considering sort of if we're going for playoffs, and Wrexham definitely will be going for playoffs as well. It's sort of crucial that you pick up 3 points there.
The thing is, you can look at it as well, Ellis. You can look at it. You've got a point away at where it's going to be a promotion rival. So, I mean, it's obviously it's hard to take when you've been 5-3 up with 6 minutes to go. But
yeah, that's the thing. Like going into the game, I said before the game, I said a point here is more than okay. Is a point here is good, but when you're 4-1 up at half time, a point is not good. You want those 3 points, and you should be getting those 3 points. So it's a kick in the teeth when you've got a 3-goal lead. Like that's the issue that I have with it, and it's just like it's 2 games in the league now where we've lost a lead.
We could and probably arguably should be top of the league, like sitting pretty.
Yeah, yep, definitely. I mean, we win at Wrexham. We win against Crewe. It's big, isn't it? We would look to be
mental up there. To think in an alternate universe we're on 100% right now.
Yeah,
it's just one of it shows like we've I think we've solved the issue of I think there was a lack of goals last year, especially under Morris, and I feel like we've Young has got to rocket up his arse, and like if he just keeps this momentum up, then I'm sure he'll keep scoring because he was involved. Looked really good in the attacks, linked up well with Charlie. You got Kemp driving in midfield. You got McEachran in support with him as well. Just feel like you need that one really strong. For me, it's one really strong sitting midfielder and a defender you can bring on at the end to just shore things up. And I think we've definitely got a playoff team because we've got the goals in us. Just need to solve a bit of the leaks in the defence.
Yeah. Before moving on, Alice, we've got Carly that's joined us late as well. Carly, you were at the game on Saturday, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Apologies for being late.
Right.
Don't give me a detention.
Sorry, Carly.
Yeah, I was at the game. I agree with all of you, really. We can definitely score goals, which was a huge issue for us last season. Going into half-time, I was like, we don't look like we're going to stop scoring goals. Like, it was just a constant, my God, there's another goal. But where you say what we need to tighten things up now, it's definitely, like you're all saying, we need that big lump of a central defender, because 2 of Wrexham's goals, if I remember rightly, don't ask me to name people, I remember Wrexham making the play and like 3, maybe 4 of our players all running towards that player and leaving at least 2 Wrexham players in front of goal completely unmarked. And I feel like we need someone, not just so much of a big sturdy kind of person, but someone with experience that can read the game and say, right, they're going that way, I need to stay here and make sure that these guys aren't free to knock the goals in, which is exactly what they did.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I keep repeating myself. It's just frustrating. It really is. And
it was frustrating. It was really frustrating. As I walked out of the ground, as I was going down the steps, because obviously we were quite close to the Wrexham fans.
Yeah.
There was 2 guys that sort of looked at me like blew their cheeks out, sort of thing, and was like, "Oh, did you fuck that up?" And I went, "No." I said, "Number 1, we're Swindon Town." I said, we're still recruiting. And I said, but all I could say to you is you'll never forget this match, will you? Because I know I won't. And they were like, "Oh, no, definitely not. So we know it was a really entertaining game, but shouldn't be losing at 4-1 up. But
I knew at half-time, I said it on the group chat, didn't I? I said on the group chat, I was like, why do I feel like we've not won this game?
You did.
I turned to Martin in the stand as soon as we let in the first one and said, we're going to lose this.
But none of us were confident. None of us were looking at each other like, "Hey, we've won." We were all looking at each other with wide eyes.
We're all so
like,
corrupted, God.
Is this really happening?
Oh,
I think it's more frustrating because we know we've got a lot of good players in this team now. I think we've solved a lot of the issues we had last season. It's just that little something, and even without that little something, when nearly beating them, like, well, we should have beat them. Like, that's what makes it frustrating for me.
I genuinely said to you, didn't I, Max, on Saturday after the game, I wasn't confident until the 90th minute when that board went up.
And it was... Oh.
I saw 5 minutes and I was like,
honestly.
Oh, yeah, even they can't fuck this one up. And then the first one in, and then it was like, uh-oh, here we go.
I just, on that point as well, someone mentioned about obviously having quite a decent squad this season, which I think we'd all agree, like, going forward, attacking-wise, we've got some very, very good talented players. And I think one of the players that's obviously made the EFL team this week is Dan Kemp. So obviously 2 goals, Dan Kemp. Comment here from ProLayer67. The worrying things that our best players are on loan. So obviously Dan Kemp is on loan. Now, we've kind of been stung with this before, haven't we? With loan players getting recalled in January and then...
Oh, he's getting recalled. I think all of them are getting recalled.
I had the same worry, Max. Now, I had a conversation.
Let's not worry about it now. Let's not worry.
Let's not think about it.
Mate,
it's still August.
I was worried about it as well. It's going to happen. I'd imagine it'll happen. But something that I heard, and I would take credence in this as well. Do you think we'd assign a loan player of the profile of Dan Kemp without a buy option?
Yeah, I did.
No, in Swindon, yes.
I did see something about though that in terms of what the deal is on the loan, something in the contract is they can't be recalled. Now, like that might be a load of bullshit.
No,
but
so mate, even if they can be recalled, any sort of option to buy for a fixed fee is still valid. So
yeah,
what I would say is
and
just don't cry about it just yet. He's got 6 months in his deal after January. He won't be going for
yeah,
absolute loads, and I would probably bet half of my mortgage that there's probably going to be an option there.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm not signing anything, but I'm just saying.
But
what's the one rule loan players, Joe? What's the one rule with loan? What's the one rule with loan players?
Too late. I've already got
with the loan player.
I fail at that rule every single time. But I think if they did get recalled, you'd like to think the club would put their hands in their pockets and pay up. I mean, it's the same situation we had with Doyle. Look how that ended. I mean, it's Young can score goals. I mean, he got 2 assists as well. A great player there, and Dan Kemp. So I would definitely say Kemp's a League One sort of standard of player. I think we're very lucky to have both players in terms of that they're out of favour with their managers at their parent clubs. I think we're lucky that we've been able to pick them up, and they were a big part of those 5 goals at Wrexham.
I'll stop waxing lyrical about Dan Kemp now, but he's a better Jack Payne. I'll say it.
Oh yeah, from what I've seen, I agree, and especially when you look at it from Dan Kemp is essentially Johnny Williams' replacement, and I think when you look at it like that, you're
with
winning
less floor time.
Yeah, I'd say he's on his feet a bit more.
Absolutely.
He's got 12 goals in his last 19 games.
Stop it, Max.
Yeah.
Why did they loan him out? I do not understand why they didn't loan him out. Other than the fact that Graham Alexander's but Graham Alexander's their manager, and he's like the least Graham Alexander player ever.
It's also down to us, though, don't you think, as fans?
I think we've still got that. We've still got like that pull to
take him into our hearts. If he's playing great for, I said before, we've got a good 5 months plus to not think about this and not worry about it. I know everybody wants to focus on the loan aspect of it, but let's say that he has just such an amazing 5 months, 6 months. The fans love him. He feels warm, fuzzy feeling every time he leaves the pitch. Is he going to want to go back to somewhere where he wasn't being utilised, or is he going to want to stay there with warm, fuzzy feeling with our wonderful fans?
So what you're saying is, Carly, first week of December, we've got to get a Dan Kemp tifo in the Don Rodgers, and every fan at the game for the entirety of December has got to have a Dan Kemp mask and a Dan Kemp tattoo on their chest.
Absolutely.
A bit like Alan Partridge.
I'm in.
The other worry about that, though, is that MK Dons recall him and then sell him to someone in League One. Because as long as he doesn't play for MK Dons, he can go somewhere else. Because you're only allowed to play for 2 teams. But if he doesn't play for them, they can sell him.
Yeah. No,
well, that ruined my party.
it ruins everyone's party, Carly. But I think we're sort of close off the Wrexham the Wrexham segment in that it was very unlucky. Unlucky. It was very disappointing. There's plenty of positives to take from the game. There's also a few things that we as a squad need to work on. Definitely defensively. Going forward, I think is not an issue, as we've all described. Young, Kemp, Austin, all these attacking players are quality. It's just, I think, defensively, that's what we need to work on. But I'm sure Flynn knows what he's doing. Flynn's probably got them doing drills on the training ground. So, yeah, I think that sort of wraps up the Wrexham segment. What should we move on to now? Should we talk about the Arsenal under-21s game last night?
Do we have to? It's penalties again.
It is penalties. Well, look, you say that. We got a point for the draw. and the penalty shootout is for an extra point. So technically we drew, but we lost the penalty shootout at the same time. Malcolm, I saw you there. I saw you. You were sat to my right.
We sound like them people down the road saying we've got a draw. We did lose.
Of course we lost, Mark. It's penalties. We haven't won a shootout in almost a decade.
I'm not claiming a draw over Arsenal because we did lose eventually, albeit on penalties. But I enjoyed it. I just went there thinking I'm just going to look at them. I did. I can't tell you who they were because I found the team and none of them had numbers on. So I thought 42 looked good, 45 looked good. I think 77 was not bad. I haven't got a clue who they were, though, to be fair. But I think their movement, the speed in which they pass the ball, they look really positive. It's just, I mean, some of them are going to be real kind of ones for the future, aren't they? So it was good to see some of them. But they'll probably all go on loan, and when they play Reading and Exeter, they'll get beat as per.
Also, though, looking at the goals we scored, they did try their best to lose.
Yeah, look, the two goals that we scored were very, very lucky. One was an own goal, and one was from your walkway, but the keeper had an absolute howler and just practically gave the ball to him, and then it was an open goal. So our two goals were fairly jammy, fairly easy.
How did their strikers hit our defender on the line both times when he's in the middle of the goal?
Yeah, it was mental. I think Kinsella was one of them. I can't remember who the other one was. I think it might be
Mingo, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the defending to get back to the line was class, and I think a lot of it was luck that they sort of just put it straight in the middle. But they were certainly a threat go sort of on the counter because they were so quick in the build-up play. All of those players, if you go on FIFA, they've all got 95 pace at least. It was stupid, but I mean you got to look at it as it was our academy side against it was a League Two academy side against a Premier League academy side. So.
And they're one of the best academies, aren't they?
Exactly. So, we splattered in a few of the first team players, like I said, Kinsella, Genesini, Uwakwe, Shade come on in the second half. He's just come back from an injury. Jake Kane, Minturn, he's obviously played for a few first team games, and also Abu Kanu. I've got to say Abu Kanu up front. For me, in terms of the players that from the academy side, Carney stood out for me out of all of them. He was lively up top, a lot of pace about him.
He was unlucky at some point as well.
Yeah, very unlucky. I mean, he's not the tallest player in the world, and they did have some tall centre backs. So in terms of like winning headers, I think it was a bit of a struggle, but when the ball was on the floor, you can see he's got real explosiveness, real sort of desire to get into goal. There was one moment in the match where sort of one of their, I think it was their right back, played it back to their centre back, and he sort of pretty much intercepted it with a sliding tackle. I think he's definitely one for the future. He bangs in goals in sort of in the academy level. So it's sort of one thing that you can't put money on is scoring goals. So if you can score goals, you're a big asset, and he definitely scores loads of them. So yeah, like I said, for me, yesterday's game, Abu Kanu in terms of the academy players stood out. I think Jackson Brown played quite well, and also Sonny Hart at the back. Sonny Hart has made a couple of appearances now. He played in a couple of the pre-season games. Played at Melksham. I'm not sure on the others, but he looked solid at the back. I think he's only 17, and he slotted in. It would look like he slotted with the first team. He looked solid at the back. Getting stuck into tackles, and I think he played the full 90 minutes. I might be wrong. He might have got brought off at the end, but he definitely played the majority of the game. So look, in the academy, there's plenty of young talent coming through that we can keep an eye on, and I think it was a good opportunity for sort of the other players that are trying to get minutes to showcase their talent. I think Minturn done quite well. Obviously, we had the return of Lewis Ward in goal. The first sort of 10 minutes, his distribution was a bit iffy, but I mean, even last season before, his distribution was questionable at times, but I think it was just sort of a question where it was a situation where he just hasn't played in a while, but he definitely settled into the game. He made some cracking saves, and look, it was just good to see Lewis Ward back in a Swindon shirt. But yeah, to sort of round that off, for me, it was a good game to get minutes for not only the younger players but the more senior players that I listed there. And yeah, I mean, 2-2 in terms of the game was decent, but we never do well on penalties, do we? All the penalties that went in, decent penalties. I think it was Ben Ward that missed his penalty, but to be fair to him, it wasn't a shit penalty. He put it to the bottom right. It was a good save from the keeper. So,
can anyone educate me on the last time we won a penalty shootout? Was it Oxford in the JPT?
It was Exeter in the JPT in 2016.
Oh, wow! Look, penalties are not our strong point. It's weird. It's the League Cup penalties. It just doesn't go well. But yeah, plenty of positives to take from last night. And it was to be fair, it was a good day out, and it was good to be back at the county ground as always. No matter who's playing, it's always nice to be at the county ground. Right, shall we move on briefly to? I know we're sort of short on time. Max, did you want to touch on our sort of situation last week at the club regarding the shares?
Yeah. Look,
seatbelts.
Anyone who follows me on Twitter knows that I have strong opinions on this. But this Chris Kiley thing has been going on ever since his name popped up in a program or whatever it was last year. Listed as director, that was quickly put under, and you can probably shut that down as whether it's a typo or whether it's some misunderstanding between the press who typed out something and what the club says his role actually is. I think the fact that this debenture has been called out on us, I think that's unrelated to Carl. I think that's a who former owner who has got hold of that debenture and is trying to destabilise us in the best way possible. That's my understanding of it. Dan Hunt mentioned it during the week on LS that they could have easily turned this into win, and Carly could have come out in a good light of like coming and being a bit of a saviour with this debenture coming in, and I think they've just handled it awfully. And I think they've handled it awfully since Chris Carley's been involved with us. I wish they would just come out. I wish Chris Kiley would come out and just lay the cards out on the table of what his role at the club is, what it has been, and what the vision is with this now. Because now that well, I know it's his wife's name that's the shareholder, but this bloke now has a tangible portion of the club in his hands, and I just want to know what's the direction. Where are we going from here? Is this a short-term thing so that Clem can get some sort of funds together to buy back those shares, or has this been sort of in the works and it's just been accelerated when this debenture was called in?
I can shed a little bit of light, Max, as well from some sort of pieces that I've heard. I think what I understand is of the situation, I think there are certain, as you say, certain two members of a previous regime that were rightly owed a certain amount of money in debentures. I think they probably called those debts in to a very, very tight deadline, as Clem sort of alluded to or mentioned in his statement. I think there was a very good opportunity or a very good chance that the club probably could be at risk of going into administration in a 2 or 3 day sort of window. I think that's kind of where the risk or the need for money instantly came from. And I think with Clem, obviously Clem's got many of his assets that are in Australia. And I think for a certain amount of money, it does take a few days for it to go through escrow. Like you can't just if you need £1 million right now, and you've got it in a bank account in Australia, I'm not sure you can get it out instant transfer. Like
even though I don't think even Clem has 2.9 million in liquid funds to
exactly.
just
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those.
and
I
that's
think
fine.
he's had to do it, and maybe he's not got about it the right way. He's had to get this money into the certain hands of certain people because otherwise it's putting the club at risk of going to administration, and all that hard work we've done over the summer in providing the manager with a decent squad that's fit for purpose and fit to fight for promotion. If you get smacked with a 20-point deduction, that's all gone to shit, isn't it?
Yeah, and and that's fine. I'm not like saying like, oh, why are we getting money off him? Because I'm like, at this point, I don't really care who's involved. I care why they're involved, and Chris Carley's name has been thrown about for the past year at least now, and I just want the club to just be honest with us. I want him, and I know Clem said in his statement that he's got no interest in running the football club or being involved. But if you're contributing towards £3 million to put into it, you must have some stake, and I just want to know what it is. I just want a bit of honesty.
Yeah,
Max, I think if I can sort of jump in, I think it's if you sort of put it in layman's terms and sort of likes of you and I, you're down the pub and you've just got around in and I'm 10 quid short. Joe, lend us a tenner. Sure, mate. I don't think you need to go in the ins and outs and the whys and the wherefores of why and how we got the money. You made the statement and that's it. What involvement this bloke's got, I really don't care. It was a short-term fix, and I think we just need to leave it at that and just let's crack on. I mean, the bloke's done so well in getting the debt down. He then gets a thrown a curveball, and they say, right, we want this money now. We'll call it the debenture now because you're doing so bloody well at getting the debts written off. We'll just try and mess you up, stuff you up. We'll call it now. And obviously, he's gone to the back of the sofa. There's nothing there. Okay, right, mate. Can you lend me a couple of mil just to get rid of this debenture? And I think you just leave it at that. Please be positive, and try not to look at the dark, sinister side of Swindon Town because that is historic. That's historical.
I can't help it, Daz. This been doing this to me for 15 years.
Yeah, and it's been going on for many years before. There was a time when Swindon owned all the houses on Shrivenham Road down the back, Shrivey Road, and they mysteriously got sold. But that's another time for another forum. But there we go. We've always had it. Just go with the flow, mate. Go with the flow, and let it go.
You can understand the frustration of the fans and them questioning it. It's one of those things. It's like the amount of shit that the fans have gone through over the past 30 years has been. It's understandable that if something pops up, they're going to be a bit worried. I think there's instances where going through sort of Clem's business accounts and wanting to know the ins and outs of his businesses. I don't. There's no need. I think it's the man's business. I think leave him alone. But when it comes to the football club and who has shares in the football club, especially when the chairman said he was going to be transparent and vocal on all these things, I think that's the only issue for me. Is he said he's going to offer transparency and talk to the fans, but in this case, there's been none of it. and the business of it and the everything that's the actual, the business side of it. I understand. I understand why he's done it from his statement. But like I said, it's the fact that he offered transparency, and I hopefully, obviously, you got the trust meetings. Hopefully that it gets brought up there. Hopefully they question it. They dig deeper, because we can't just sort of be left with what we have. So
Ellis, I think the way to sum it up, mate, is from at least from the outside, and as much as I'm not in the four walls of the county ground every single day. I'm not privy to certain conversations or whatever. But from the way that I understand it, it was an immediate fire, and that fire had to be put out immediately before it caught flames.
Yeah.
So before it caught
definitely.
any sort of wood around the building, it was put out immediately by any means possible. And does it look great on the outside? No, of course it doesn't. But is the fire out at the moment? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, a big part of it was obviously Rob Angus coming out at the fans forum saying,
I couldn't even
saying that it was an accident or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he said.
It's one of those. I think there's clearly legal obligations or legal things that you've got to stick to not disclose certain things. It's way above my pay grade, so I wouldn't even have the first inkling to understand it.
Yeah, and look, we've had a statement from Clem. He underlined what's happened. He said the issues and sort of and gone through everything. So as many as you sort of fans may not want to, I think you've got to trust him, and you've just got to trust that what he said is true. I think with him making the statement, I think, yeah, look, I want to trust the man. I don't want to not trust our chairman. And if that's what he says, then yeah, there's always something.
I think it's always gonna be tough because we're a scarred fan base. We've been burned before by multiple owners, and this is why I can't trust any owner. I can't trust anyone at the minute because I'm just not sure what's round the corner. Whatever blame it gets put on, I just don't want to see my club go the way of Bury.
Yeah.
What's happening Saturday, Ellis?
Sorry?
What's happening Saturday?
This Saturday?
Yeah.
The return of Scott Lindsay.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Scott Lindsay, Dion Conroy, we've got Ronan Darcy, Ben Gladwin might be there. I know he's been injured at the start of the season. It's it's a bit of the Crawley Swindon thing. It's becoming a little bit of a forced rivalry just purely because Scott Lindsay's just kind of doing a lot of people's heads in with those little fist pumps and his
passionate.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Like I love the bloke. I think he's a really nice guy. But fucking hell, Scott,
I can't stand
him. I thought
him.
it was just for us. I thought we were special.
Can't stand him. I hope that he fails and Crawley go down and they just go away.
No,
pathetic little club.
It's frustrating because they've got
angry Max is on tonight, isn't he? Bloody hell!
Yeah, we've started him on one. It's frustrating because Crawley have got off to a good start. I think everyone, including myself, predicted Crawley to be relegated this season. I know it's early on, but has anyone got their results handy?
Have they won?
Yeah, I've got them. So they beat Bradford 1-0 on opening day after a Bradford red card. Lost to Exeter in the cup. Drew 1 all the way at Salford. Beat MK Dons 2-1 at home on the midweek games, and they lost 1-0 to Gillingham, who are top of the table at the minute.
Gillingham are also doing the Arsenal, aren't they? They've won every game 1-0.
They're just efficient. They're exactly what you need to be in League Two. They're just efficient and deadly and solid. Like that's what you need to get out of this league. And I think they'll probably go about and do that.
Yeah, I think they're definitely a contender for the title this season. But Crawley, not they're not the side that they were last season. They lost a couple of big players during the summer. They've signed a couple. Obviously, Ronan Darcy, we're going to see back at the county ground. Carly, I'll bring you in on this. We haven't heard from you for a while. What are you what are you looking forward to from this game on Saturday, and what are you wary of Crawley?
I just think they're going to have that. They're going to have that edge, aren't they? That Lindsay's really going to want to beat us. Obviously, Michael Flynn hasn't got that same situation for him, although he will understand how much it means to us. I hope that we give our former players a nice welcome. I don't like it when we don't do that.
Yeah.
But then I also hope that they don't have their A games against us, because we know that all of them can play good football when they're on their A game. So I think Lindsay needs putting on his arse, really. And I hope that we do it, but it's just one of those things again, like we said previously, when you 4-1 up at Wrexham or 5-3 up at Wrexham, you just know that that's just us. But I'd like to think that we could hold our own. There's a lot of new players that haven't got connections to him, and they want to make it their own, rather than a revenge match, which is what some of the fans will be wanting.
I think, Corey, as well,
Sure.
you said there, like, Lindsay's going to be one of us, wanting to beat us, and it's going to be a game he's up for. I think the game at the end of last season was probably more so that, because it was kind of his squad. And, I mean, the best thing was the bloke that he vetoed the signing of and probably contributed towards the end of his tenure went and scored quite early on. And then, I mean, Jake Kane shoved one in the top bins from 45 yards. So it's one of those. I think any sort of anger he had against, or he's obviously got some sort of ill feeling towards the club, but I think the game last year, end of the season, that was the one he probably wanted to win more. So, I mean,
yeah, it's a new season. It's sort of that the whole sort of fiasco last season, you'd like to think's forgotten about, and we've got a new side, he's got a new side, and I think it's gonna be a good test. It's definitely gonna be a good game. Malcolm, do you think we've got any issues in Scott Lindsay's side this weekend?
There is going to be a little bit of that. He's going to have them, going for it. Personally, I don't mind Scott Lindsay. I know it's a bit controversial, but I thought he was. I always thought he was a nice bloke. But I want him to lose 100% this weekend. And I think, can Crawley deal with a team like Swindon as they're playing, like we did in the first half against Wrexham? And hopefully that'll be a no. So why can't we just go out and do that, and then hopefully definitely have a better finish?
Yeah. Look, we're short on time. We've had a lot to get through. I think we go through predictions for Saturday. Chris, we'll start with you. What's your prediction for Saturday's game against Crawley?
I think 3-1. Charlie's going to get 2 of them.
Wow, who's the other one?
Tom Brewitt off the corner for the first time in 45 years.
Wowzers. Daz, what about you? What's your prediction?
Sorry, 2-2.
Oh, Daz, don't do this. Do not do this to me.
But the upshot is I'm not going to be there on Saturday. Unfortunately, can't make it.
That's a 6-0 win then, isn't it?
Well, you'd like to think so, because I mean, Wrexham wasn't there, was I, watching it on the thing? But when we went 5-3, I did put a bet on to draw, so I did make something out of it. I think it's going to be 2-2. I really do. That's my feeling. Sorry.
Well, 2-2 for Daz. Max, what about you?
I'm going to go 3-2. We finally hold out. I think we'll go like 3-0 up. They'll get 2 and it'll make us all nervous, but I reckon we'll finally hold out.
Wow. A win. I'll take that. Carly?
God, I hope that's not the case. I don't think I can sit through that again.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a very hard slog, drawn out 1-0 to us. Sorry.
Everyone, you're bringing me down. Joe, lift me up.
3-0, I think.
Yeah.
Jake Young for 2.
Yes.
And I reckon a Dan Kemp banger.
I like it. I like it a lot. Again, for me, 3-0. I think we're going to see 1 goal from Young. We're going to see a goal from Charlie Austin, and if he's fit and if he's back playing, we're going to get a goal from Hepburn Murphy. Now, I don't know if he's back from injury, but if he is, he's scoring. Look, hopefully we get the win. I think we definitely need the win. Crawley, they're not the greatest side in the league. I know they've had a decent start, but in terms of their squad, in terms of their manager, I think we're superior. I think you go man for man. We've got better players, and coming off that 5-5 draw, I think the players have got something to prove, and definitely get a win. So, Joe, I think. Well, Malcolm, did you, considering that you are, well, can we say you're Rockin' Robin?
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin the
What?
effect.
I'll be there.
What?
I'll be there. Hopefully, lucky mascot. 3-1 Austin and Young and Kemp.
Yes, lovely. Also, Malcolm, the mascot race. Did you want to talk on that?
Oh yeah, so Bank Holiday Monday. I think it's 1:00 live on the racing channel. They've got a drone up as well. Some of us will be wearing GoPros.
Yeah.
It is for the Children's Trust, I believe, and the link is on my on the Rockin' Robin Twitter page if anyone wants to give money. But yeah, it's just give it a watch if you can. I'm not thinking I'm going to win because there is a prize for coming last. So if you see me walking, it's because I'm going for the last place prize.
He's going to run the wrong way.
If I can't win,
I
can't win, I'm going to still get something. Hopefully.
Well, that's the way to go, Malcolm. do you know who else is going to be there?
So there's the Sutton mascot, Jenny Adraff, got Wimbledon, Hayden the Womble. He organises it. There's a few different sports, I believe.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the other ones coming down. The Ox isn't there, so that's fine. I don't have to
Yeah, good. No scraps.
But yeah, it should be. I think there's about 25. So yeah, it's the first time I've been able to do it. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm in no illusions that there are people that are a lot faster and fitter and younger than me. So don't expect me to win.
Can we just go back to Hayden the Womble? Who the fuck at Wimbledon is called their mascot Hayden?
It's so random.
Why call him John?
It's
far too new age for a Womble.
I know Orinoco. Don't worry about
that. The best one is still Fleetwood Captain Cod. Just a giant fish.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Stevenage Borough Bear's going to be there. I know that's definite. But
look, I got to say this would be Carly's absolute dream place to be. She loves a mascot.
Yeah, get watching, Carly. You'll love that.
Even listening to it is just making me shudder a little bit. Yeah, absolutely my worst nightmare. So Rockin' Robin, I wish you all the very best and I'd love to sponsor you, definitely, but please don't make me be there because it's definitely my worst nightmare.
Malcolm, make sure you walk the course before so you know where the best line is.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna do all that and but yeah, they're younger, fitter than me, so I'm under no illusions.
Right, let's all make a bet right now that if we draw 5-5 on Saturday, Carly has to make her way down to that race.
You didn't hear me scream then out loud.
No.
It's got to be done.
I think you're pretty safe.
It was a 5-5.
Carly, if you go down,
5-5.
we'll all donate £50 to the Children's Trust.
Oh no! I think I've got clients or something. People need their haircut.
She's screaming, Ellis! Shut the show down! Shut the show down!
Yeah, I got to do
You don't know how frightened I am of them. It's terrifying. Like take the heads off. I'm all on board, but with the heads on, no way.
You're willing to miss out £300 to the Children's Trust charity.
Oh, don't do that to me.
I'd win a prize for most fundraiser as well. Come on.
We'll keep working on it in the group.
I feel like you're ganging up on me. You're being very mean, boys.
Yeah, sorry. Brilliant. Report. Right. Does anyone else have anything to add before we wrap the show up?
Up the town.
Up the fucking
Come on, you
Reds.
Reds.
There you go. Right. Thank you all for listening. As always, a reminder that the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge is an independent Swindon Town X space, and the views that have been expressed this evening are not representative. I can't even speak. Joe, say that word for me.
Representative.
Thank you. Of Swindon Town Football Club, nor are they of Sir Tom himself, apart from everything that he said in tonight's show. Many thanks for listening, and come on, you Reds.